you can see how the left uses bigotry charge as a tactic, but why then do you seem to almost accept it, talking about a rise in white supremacists? Because just because the left uses bigotry as a tactic doesn't mean bigotry doesn't exist. It doesn't exist the way the left thinks it exists. But my job is not to be anti-left. It's not my job. It's not the way I see the world. It's not my function in life. My function in life is to discover the truth, to talk about the truth, to discuss with you the truth. And the fact is that there is white supremacists. The people who marched in Charlottesville and the people who supported the people who marched in Charlottesville are white supremacists. When they march and say, Jews will not replace us, when they talk about blood and soil, that's white supremacists. That's the reality. You want to evade reality? You want to ignore reality? You want to pretend it doesn't exist? Fine. I can't and I won't. I'm about telling the truth. So like everything in life, well, not like everything in life, like a lot of political issues, the left is wrong. That doesn't mean that every issue at every level, in every way, they are wrong. This country was founded with sin, slavery. This country did experience horrific, barbaric, subhuman racism, primarily in the South, but also in the North, until the 1960s. Racism that was institutionalized, systematized, and part of government policy, certainly in the South, and again, to some extent, a large extent in the North as well. Redlining was also in the North, and redlining was a government policy. This is not mythology. Just because the left says this doesn't make it false. The question is always, is it true or is it false? If the left calls me a racist, they're wrong. If the left called Richard Spencer a racist, they're right. He is a racist. The fact that the left says it doesn't make it wrong. See, your job as a thinker, if you choose to be a thinker, and you have to choose it, is not to reflexively be against whatever the other tribe says. But it's to evaluate what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false. In reality. Not because the left says it, not because the right says it, but because it either exists or it doesn't. It's either true or it's not. What did we say? We made fun of one of the things that they think there's a right answer, that right answers are a sign of white supremacy. No. There are such things as right answers. There is such thing as the truth. And as a thinker, it's your moral responsibility to discover that truth. Not to just go by your gut because the left said it must be wrong. The left is wrong about systemic racism, but it's not wrong about everything it says about the history of this country. It's not wrong about the fact that there's rising racism in this country. Those are all phenomena. Now, I think much of the rising, and I've said this over and over again, much of the rising racism on the right in this country is a response to the explosion of racism on the left. That is, I consider critical race theory a racist theory. A racist theory. And one of the responses to this leftist racist theory is racism on the right. In politics, for every action, there is a reaction. And when the left turns racist, emphasizes race, talks about race, identifies us in terms of race, makes a big deal of race, that's what the leftist intellectuals do, then people on the right are going to say, we can play that game. And you see an increase in racism on the right. Whites start feeling marginalized, start feeling attacked, start feeling superior. Starts feeling superior. And that leads them towards their own racism. And that's how these things get out of control, completely out of control. No racism on the right. What was Charlottesville? Was that the left marching? Not by anybody's definition of what right and left are. The idea that there's no racism on the right means you buried your head in the sand. I mean, I've seen racism against me on the right in the form of anti-Semitism. I've seen anti-Semitism in the South years ago, and certainly today. What is the Unite the Right rally? It was called the Unite the Right rally. Not Unite the Left rally. Not Unite the Center rally. Not Unite the Wacko rally. It was called Unite the Right rally. And it was a racist rally. And yeah, anti-Semitism among whites is microscopic. Really? Really? You should ask Ben Shapiro about that. And when he does a show on the alt-right, the kind of vitriol that is hurled against him because he's a Jew. But no. I mean, yeah, it's... So, Richard, what do you think? Who do you think was at the Unite the Right rally? You think that the people marching there, the Richard Spencers of the world, you think they are leftists? What about Nick Fuentes? Nick Fuentes is an anti-Semite and a racist. Is he a figment of my imagination? Does he have a big following on YouTube? Is that a figment of my imagination? Or is he a plant? Or is he a plant from the left? He's really I mean, you guys are detached from reality, and you're so focused on hating the left that you cannot see what is around you. You cannot see the reality that is around you. Yes, Charlottesville was one event almost 4 years ago. January 6th attack on Capitol Hill was one event just a few months ago. The guy who attacked the synagogue in Pittsburgh and then attacked Jews in California, that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, I mean, sure. We can all take one event here, one event, the rhetoric of some leaders, not all maybe, but some leaders of the Proud Boys, and on and on and on. You want examples? Really? You want examples? I mean, the fact that you need examples just shows that you've taken your head and you buried it deep in the sand. And I know I'm offending my listeners again, and you guys get upset when I do this. But, it's a fact. You guys are literally, in the name of hating on the left, you're ignoring reality. Yeah, woke is everywhere. But in the name of wokeness, the real enemy, your real enemy, we're supposed to evade reality. We're supposed to become the enemy. This is what will destroy this country. This is what will destroy this country. That you become exactly like the people you claim that you hate. Which is people who evade reality, behave as if you're a tribe, ignore truth doesn't matter, and focus on one thing and one thing only, which is to defeat your enemy. And you will discover that by doing that, you will become the enemy. You will become the enemy. So yes, sorry, but you're all my enemy. Those of you who are critical race theory leftists, and those of you apologists for the racism of the right, on the right, you're all my enemy. And you're reality's enemy, you're Ayn Rand's enemy. You are burying your head in the sand in terms of reality. Racism is racism is racism. Doesn't matter where it comes from. And I don't care if you're on the left or on the right. Right? If you're irrational, you're irrational. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. If you're immoral, you're immoral. I don't care if you're on the left or on the right. If you're anti-individualism, if you're anti-reason, if you're anti-reality, then that's where you are. That's what you are. That's who you are. The way to win is to focus on reality. The way to win is to focus on reason. The way to win is to focus on individualism. Because what are you fighting then? My collective versus their collective? Today, if you're on the left or on the right, you're irrational, the way I've defined them. You're irrational. All right. A few more tidbits about the irrationality of the left. You're an apologist, yes. Anybody who denies there's racism on the right is an apologist for that racism. Anybody who denies that the right was at Charlottesville is an apologist for racism. Anybody who denies that there's collectivism, irrationality on the right is an apologist for collectivist and irrationality. That's what it means to be an apologist. It means to see it, ignore it, and go on. It means to accept the irrationality involved.
And to begin with, I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize, I know this is difficult, can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute. That man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it. And that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith.
On faith?
Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
All right, all right.
Now, may I define what my morality is?
All right.
Because this is merely an introduction. My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute, by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
May I?
All right, before we go on, reminder, please like the show. We've got 163 live listeners right now, 30 likes. That should be at least 100. I figure at least 100 of you actually like the show. Maybe there are like 60 of the Matthews out there who hate it. But at least the people who are liking it, you know, I want to see a thumbs up. There you go. Start liking it. I want to see that go to 100. All it takes is a click of a thing, whether you're looking at this. And you know, the likes matter. It's not an issue of my ego. It's an issue of the algorithm. The more you like something, the more the algorithm likes it. So, you know, and if you don't like the show, give it a thumbs down. Let's see your actual views being reflected in the likes. But if you like it, don't just sit there. Help get the show promoted. Of course, you should also share. And you can support the show at JeronBrooksShow.com/support, or on Patreon or Subscribestar or Locals, and show your support for the work, for the value hopefully you're receiving from this. And of course, don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, even if you just come here to troll, or even if you're here like Matthew to defend Marx, then you should subscribe, because that way you'll know when to show up. You'll know what shows are on, when they're on. You'll get notified, right? So, yes, like, share, subscribe, support. Like, share, subscribe, support. There you go. Easy. Do one or all of those, please.